talk about.
Yeah, like
I'm
I'm
excited.
totally
Yeah.
shifting my focus here because I think we need to talk about, I don't know, responsible use of plant medicines for our awareness and our awakening and our integration. Like, I don't know, I think that topic needs to be addressed a little more, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
The rapé
I mean, we
brings
got
back
plenty of
something of
time.
the soul and the tribe and the drum and the like the roots. It's
Yeah.
pretty deep. I think everybody should try it once.
Rope. Well, the funny thing
Yes.
is I had a couple of friends that do it, and I have a lot of respect for them, both dudes, and they both, I guess, ordered it or whatever, and they were pretty big on it. In fact, one of them didn't even partake in cannabis at all. He would just do the rapé from whenever. And here I'm tagging you. I just tagged you on Facebook. Um,
Okay.
but doing it here with this dude, that this stuff came like from Peru, right?
Hmm.
Man, that was like, I mean, I can't even tell you. But because of what happened, being apart for 37 months and then not sharing the bed for 38 months and coming in and 24 hours later we go to this place and they give me this rapé and my eyes go black and I just start,
Wow.
whatever it was marking something because I could see
Well,
the
I see it
mountains,
like a
I could see.
preparation for your union back with Morgan and the turning on
Yeah,
of the neural pathways and both sides of the brain
yeah,
and the biodesolators. There's so many like biological benefits to this. It's not just a
yeah,
psychedelic thing. It turns
no,
something on in the brain and the processor. It's super important.
yeah, yeah, and yes, absolutely. I mean, absolutely, and everything, obviously gets convoluted. Oh, let me just before we get started, we're just like rolling here. Uh, we've got Alicia with us. We've done many shows together. Her and her beloved triad there in Costa Rica. We actually got to see each other in Austin, Texas on the fly in the middle of, I don't know, even what was that, 2022 or 23? I don't even know. And you
23,
came
yeah.
through. I want to talk about this in relation to what happened to me when I came to Mexico, but you came to the U.S. after overstaying your visa in Costa Rica, and you didn't even know if you could get back, through the rules and the regulations of the Matrix, and you were able to do that. But let me just say, this is episode number 43, Alicia and family, and we're having to use her still picture because the bandwidth over there where she's at can't hold the video and the audio. And we were just talking beforehand about rapé and plant medicine, and she had something come through. But before we do that, let me just say thank you for coming in. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your fortitude and your courage, which you displayed when you came to Austin. You came back to the States, to your home area after overstaying in Costa Rica. Didn't know if your passport this or that, and you came and went back with no issue. And when I was talking to you in Austin and we were hanging out and chilling,
Wow. You have
you
a
were just
good
you were
memory.
right? You were just like, you know what? It's not in my field. So I got to tell you, you fast forward to July of last year. In Canada, she can't come in the US. We're meeting in this park every day and going home and, coming back the next day. And then everything broke. And we're like, let's go to Mexico. Well, she knew she could get to Mexico. I can't get a passport, supposedly. And so I drove back, got my affairs in order, bought a ticket to Laredo, Texas, came out of, and this was, by the way, on the day at a time, July 26th last year. So, and I was
Whoa.
thinking about you in part because I was like, okay, it's not in my field. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to let it go. I get off the plane in Laredo, which is on the border of Mexico. There's a sister town called Nuevo Laredo across the border. I come out of the plane, and of course, my phone's dead. So I'm like, okay. So I charge my phone. There's three border crossings in Laredo, Nuevo Laredo. I pick border number one. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there. And if they won't let me in to Mexico, I'm just going to fucking swim the other direction everyone else is swimming. And, you know, be a a reverse wetback. I'm a Mexican, so I can say that. So anyway, I walk out to I walk out of the little bitty terminal. It's like the size of like three 7-Elevens, and there's this van, and with just one van, no taxi, just a van. A guy's a taxi driver. He's got the van open. I walk up to him and I say, "Hey, man." He goes, "Where you want to go?" I said, "Man, I want to go to the Nuevo Laredo Airport." Now I don't have a ticket or nothing, right? And he's like, "Okay, I can do that. I can take you all the way there." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So I jump in the van, pull out my ID, my driver's license, because that's I can't get a passport. Jump in the car with him. We start heading to the border. There's like four lanes, and it's just like massive, like just bumper to bumper, flowing about 20 miles an hour. And uh, you know, I'm with him. I pull out my license, and he goes, "You won't need that today." And I swear to you, it was like a interdimensional being speaking to me in the physical flesh. He goes, "You won't need that today." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, this is Laredo. This isn't the US. This isn't Mexico. This is Laredo." And I'm like, "Okay." So we drive, and those four lanes of traffic converge to one. And there's a cop in the middle of the road pulling cars, sending them to inspection. And as we approach, nobody said nothing. Nobody stopped us. Nobody checked my ID. Nothing. And it was the same magic that you showed me 2 or 3 years before, and you coming to the U.S. and going back to Costa Rica, uh, and your energy, uh, creating your energy and those that you love that are within your central soul monadic physical incarnation, created that magic. So I want to say thank you for that. Thank you for coming on this show, number 43. And we can talk about whatever you want to. You want to talk about plant medicine or whatever, but thank you so much for coming in. It's good to feel your energy again.
Man, I'm excited to be here. I want to make sure it's still sounding okay.
Yeah, yeah, you're good. Without the video, you're good. We can hear you
Okay,
fine.
good. It is raining a lot now, so I'm hoping I won't be able to hear you much, but I'm going to just start. No, first of all, you have such a good memory. You reminded me of that whole experience because that was like a big timeline. I didn't plan to go to Austin. I thought I would maybe never go back again. And then all of a sudden on Good Friday, this trip materializes. I don't have a phone. I don't have a bank account. I don't have a way to go anywhere. I still have a passport, but it only has 30 days left. And I was invited to this Bufo medicine church thing in Austin. There. My ex-husband and three children, we all moved to Costa Rica together, and then we had a reorganization of our family. I met Eduardo and had another child. It's been quite a wild galactic ride since I came to Costa Rica when my family went back to Austin. So within 3 days, I was on a plane to Austin. I didn't have a bank account, money, anything. It would have felt impossible. And then we got to meet in person and eat beans and uh, chips and salsa and queso and all of that. It was so good. You don't really get that kind of food in Costa Rica. Um, you might hear some people talking in the background and the rain is pouring down, but it's
You're good.
beautiful. I
You're
hope you
good.
can still hear me.
Just roll. The energy's
Um,
with us.
so, anyways, you know, that was that trip to Austin was like a Palladian mission. I can't describe it as anything else. I remember hearing losing my religion in the airport, and I started to bleed as I entered the airport to go on this trip. And there was some Palladian Venus alignment. I was like, holy shit, we just go where we're called. You don't have a plan. You don't have an itinerary. You don't have a date. I mean, you might eventually, as a time traveler, you might eventually like resolve it down to like you got to know a couple details every once in a while. But when you really are a star walker, you're such full surrender that all of a sudden you get some orders. You got a mission. You don't have anything holding you back. Something brings you to it. You don't have to figure it out or make it happen. And that is, the surrendered path many of us have been called to. It's a little dicey sometimes, especially on the financial side. But when I came back to Costa Rica, I didn't know if I'd already stayed out of the country without checking my passport for about 3 years, all over the whole COVID thing. Now I did have a child here, so technically I would say I am a citizen here, and I don't even believe in all of those boundaries, as I don't believe, and I have not been called at any moment in time, but I certainly don't have the documentation to do so. And that's where, I don't know, sometimes when I explore the idea of being a free soul, um, we're free from our attachments, we're free from our desires, we're free from our lower nature. We're really traveling light. We're on the mission of the Christ. We're the Essenes. We are in it, walking it, being it, living it. And you never know where your next loaf of bread, if you even get birth. But there's to action for certain beings to like walk what Christ did to these spaces and these places and interact with humanity with the sound of your voice. One of the things I've been telling a lot of my friends that have been going through a lot is because all of my starseed friends feel like they're going through a lot right now. There's a little turbulence connected to that, the number 36, the turbulence to humanity, to compassion, number 36. North Node. But the point is, well, actually, the 36 is important because it's about ending all suffering. That's the sacrifice that we're all being called into right now, is to kind of lay down our suffering and return into the full avatar, divine mother, Mother Mary, Christ, and whatever, but like fully embodied, no curses or wounds, no more trauma. Really, the only way to fully activate that is you have to be in divine service. Like your heart has to service to humanity beyond yourself. And yet yourself is actually, did see Morgan posted last night, the end of talking about the type where you ever feel like you're losing energy. That's how you know it's self-sacrificing. But if there's a type of endless giving that we're an opportunity to manifest in our bodies when we lay everything down. The high frequency of the mother that can just kind of endlessly flow through our body. Of course, it's beyond even healing of a wound or a trauma within the self. We have a clear temple to manifest the Christ's light so that we really bring it with us everywhere that we go, walk, sing, talk, living the simple life. Um, anyways, I just kind of got off on a little chat there, Todd. Um, how you doing?
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's amazing because, having the experience of doing so many thousands of shows over the years, I've learned over the years to allow the energy to speak, right? And because it's not just our voices, it's the fact that your video can't come in and hold the audio at the same time. It's the background stuff. It's everything. It's the light. It's the resonance. It's the purity. It's the pure intention. It's the real-time intel that's coming out, and it's not going to be overproduced or polished. And, it's just, this is it. So you really said a lot there. I mean, a whole lot. And to me, anyway, as you speak to my multidimensionality, as all of our multidimensionality seems to be coming online, it's like holding 10, 12, 20, 50 conversations at the same time and being on point with each one of them more and more and more as they all kind of coalesce and we keep on going down the road. So a lot of stuff that you said, a little bit of it broke out about the 36, but I totally am tapped into the coding that you're delivering, which includes numbers and it includes location and it includes retelling the storytelling of the past experiences that mesh together and merge together and that are connected together in terms of like you going to Austin and me coming to Mexico and all that stuff in there. The code is in between the lines, and of course you guys, for people that have tuned in before with her personally or on this show, yeah, she went to Costa Rica years ago with her family, and the rest, is this new cosmic new earth. Everybody's cool with it. Everyone's served to equal degree. Everything is conscious and integrity and so on, pushing through this apparent resistance that we've had all this time. And now something seems to have flipped. So where I'd like to start with you is you made mention of your friends who are going through a lot right now. I think January, February, and March have been an absolute blistering thing, not in a bad sense totally, because there's been direct evidence for all of us with our own experience of a personal expansion and therefore a collective expansion you can't see on the internet. Even you can't see on the platforms that are the big video podcasts. You can't. This is happening so quick, and the story is in the experience of it, and to share it is the purest code I believe that we can have, whether your video is coming in or not. So I
Mhm.
wanted to ask you, because I know you're very familiar with the gene keys and other things. Uh, I woke up this morning saying 55, 55, 55, and then I open up Facebook and somebody's writing about 55. And, I don't even know where to start. But in terms of what you've gone through, both in the long term and short term, it really feels like 2025 is a whole different place, and things are really kind of going our way, almost like we were swimming against the current, and now we flipped axes and the current's with us. And it's so fucking alien. They were like going, how does this work? I don't feel any resistance, but what's working itself out with me or with you, or as you talked about with your friends. So, what's going on from your perspective in these last few weeks? Do you know where we're at? Do you have any idea where we're going? Can you make any sense of this for us? Are you there? Oh, wait, you're muted. If you can hear me, you're muted. All right, everything's fine. Alicia Keys, 144. We got 22 people on Facebook. I'm seeing 55 this morning. The next show after this will be number 44. I have no idea what it's going to be. I know what 45 and 46 will be on Sunday. I think she's coming back in now. Let's see. I always love when I get left out here by myself. But everything's perfect. Welcome, everybody. We've got 24 people in the house on Facebook, and looks like about 13 on YouTube. I don't know how many on X. Um, it's good to be here. It's good to be back. Things seem to be moving along. I'm just going to ad lib and make it up as I go, waiting for our beloved sister and brother to come back on and their beautiful golden child, River. Um, if you guys haven't caught up with Alicia, Phinix Returns on Facebook, she's been putting it out there for a long time, well versed in the gene keys, Mayan calendar, and other things, plant medicine. I'm just going to have to keep on going, I guess. You guys have any questions or comments? Feel free to put them up here, and we'll just keep on going and wait for her to come back. Let's see here. We're going to have two shows on Sunday. I think they're both going to be really special. I'm also going to be doing a men's group privately. Put that information out again on Sunday for any men that want to come. It's free contribution of your choice, should you choose to do so, but it's open to everybody. Um, it feels like that March is really coming to a head in so many different ways, not just as a month. Some people say and feel, and I think there's a pretty good argument for it, that April 1st is actually the first day of the year. And but it does feel like even though we just went through an eclipse and an equinox, and we have another eclipse in about 12 hours around this world that will last from about 12 to 16 hours. And I really feel like that we're moving into something that's absolutely magnificent. Doesn't make any sense. None of this has, and here we are again, uh, together again, all the crazy people, and just doing the best we can and staying with what guided us to get to this point. Uh, so Alicia, I'm not sure if she's going to come back. But, oh, there she is. Okay, she's back. You saved me. Has to unmute. Okay, let's see how this works. Go ahead.
Try one more time.
What's that?
Said we'll have to try one more time. Can
Okay.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Just go for it. I'm going to mute my mic.
It kicked me off for a while. You're just me. I want to go to the fun part about buying a orders. Back here, I had 30, and then I never acknowledged any of that stuff ever again. So, part of the surrender experiment in this galactic walk has been literally walking out of all systems, all monetary systems, um, cell phone systems. I use this phone, but I only use it with Wi-Fi. I don't have a phone friendship, social security numbers. No, I didn't go to the courts to ask for my freedom. The 55 brought up, which is actually it's the property of the dragonflies and it's about freedom. You're no longer really giving your authority to not checking in with anybody to make sure that you're legal, or that you are approved, or that you can pass a court. I don't understand how we've actually agreed to these types of actions. Thought about our ability to apply to such things like obviously living in the high frequencies, can be kind of interdimensionally, but also sometimes like I have a sense inside me that don't you ever feel like you want to have like no minds because they're wrapped up in politics, but eventually that is kind of what we're moving to, that there are no borders and boundaries, to the court. Um,
I'm told
on that topic,
you're
sometimes I'm in the contemplative state, which is all the time.
by the human
Now,
by the human five senses, you're coming in like in bits and pieces, but I can feel what you're saying. Some of the words are coming through. Um, kind of what I got from you, and let's see if we can all of us kind of stabilize this connection. Um, but yeah, I could feel you. I think I would kind of surmise like what I was feeling from you like
hey,
this.
my signal's not working.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. It's all right. It's all about the intention. But I feel like what you were talking about is almost like how did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get here? And I think a lot of us can feel this. And how long does this have to go on? But something feels like possibly to me anyway, that it's shifted and it's no longer how did we get here? Um, it's more like, oh wow, we can build from here. We can create from here. And it makes no sense whatsoever, but nothing we ever did made sense anyway. And you're the perfect example of that. Can you hear me? Oh, well. Okay. This might be the shortest show we've ever had. Um, let's see here. Let's see here. Well, we're going to definitely do something. I really appreciate Alicia coming on. I could feel her energy. Um, I'm just going to tell her it's okay. It's okay. No worries. But yeah, I think maybe what we can do, Kara Morris has said she'd like to come on. Maybe it's time to do an open mic. This is show number 43 that was done. Most of these have been done on the fly in the flow, so to speak. And I had two more set up for Sunday that I set up today, and I put the post out. And something told me to label them 45 and 46. So 44 is in the middle, and maybe what we can do is come back on and do like an open mic. and see what kind of interest we can gather there, what kind of conversation we can have, the things that we can talk about. Hello, Stephanie Burke. Long time no see. Thank you for your love, support, and contributions over the years, and for everybody for the love and support and contributions they've given us over the years. You know, it's been a hell of a ride, and I really feel like it's time for us to talk about things in a way we never have before. No agendas. You know, we've got nothing to sell. We don't have the necessity to talk about the past and our traumas, the past and our reawakening, and all the channels and connections that we've had, but to actually ground here together, to land here together, and have conversations that involve all of our multidimensionality and all of our human multidimensionality. So I really feel inspired. And I got to say, Phoenix and Alicia Phinix Returns, Alicia and her holy triad over there, we connected this morning. And that's the important thing, to come out here and actually try to create something, initiating something. Here she is again. We're going to try it again. Third time's always the charm. Okay. Ask to unmute. Go ahead. Give it a shot. Leave it. Leave. Okay.
Let's,
Try it.
let's see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Go
Um,
for it. You talk.
on that 55, I think everyone go and take a look at 55. You can Google it. It's the prophecy of the new time, the dream. It really is the poetic genetic mutation. And it's a great self-studier. Like the shadow is victimization. And so in the shadow, you either blame or complain at the victimization level. And so when you make that conscious choice, effort, sacrifice down and to rise up into the more of your emotional attachment dimensions, that's where we can really start to co-create. Talks about new social structures, new forms of government, new of poverty, the divine love. It's the longest key of all. And it's really at this point, though, you have to read. And then if you're curious, you can go get your team. Really off so much in a short period of time. It's like a integration upgrade, the way that I look at it. Like, I never really study it in the way that people do online because there are more slow, contemplative, like based ways to follow a structure. It's like hungry for action. The self-study, it's like it gives you all the keys and the codes of how you operate yourself. It's all about the emotional intelligence anyway. It's like where we're getting, and then in there, it's Return of the Christ stuff. It's like it's every story. It's the return of the 144,000. It's many stories, but it's a new type of and spirit to really help us navigate why we would ever be sick, why there would be illness, becoming our own self-healer and moving healing because when you're embodied as an avatar, you aren't connected to that ancestral cord. Let this solar eclipse be one of those things where you never go back to. We last night I kept hearing the resurrection body, and I looked it up, and it's about the immortal body, and it doesn't get sick. And so we're being invited to open up the gates of those dimensions of the eternal life, of the immortality, really understanding what that actually means, immortality. I think sometimes we still think in our time like we might lose our body, it gets old. That's anything that's been in the last 2 years, which has always been about like sacrifice and war and bloodshed, and even the Christ is like this bloody death. That's not how anyone dies, ascend. It's not bloody actually. The death you die to sin. Call that the crucifixion implant. It's like I've traveled a lot to the churches here in Costa Rica, so they're all Catholic, and every time you walk in one of them, you've got a bloody dude hanging up there, and you're like, damn, I'm never fucking getting out. And it's like, what's going on in
Hey,
here? So
you remember that? Remember that trippy church? We spent probably less than 1459.
Oh, you went to that church.
Remember, and we were
Yes.
right on the outskirts, like literally across the highway from Austin proper, the
The
UT, the capital.
capital.
And there was this somehow or another, Alicia took us to this church, and there was a dude there who was managing the garden, which was magnificent. And it was this old church, and we walk in, and this dude's there. I guess he was like the deacon or pastor or something. I don't remember what denomination was it. It wasn't Catholic, but it was like one of those offsprings. And her and I are looking at this
It was
stained
political Christian.
glass. Huh? What was it? Do you remember what it was? But the stained glass, they had
Oh, it was
the fuck
political
they.
Christian.
But you remember in the stained glass, they had the fucking Gnostics. They had the apostles, and then they had Philip and who's the other one? Thomas. They were involved. In other words, it was like not something that you would normally see. But yeah, just when you said that, go ahead, keep going.
I love that you brought me there because I go to visit a church anywhere that I go, and this particular one was right across from the Capitol building. It's a Tartaria building, if anyone studies Tartaria. It even had an old like pipe music. Had the way that they cooled was with water that ran through the walls. Yeah, it was beautiful. I'd take pictures with this broken. I didn't have a phone, and I was taking selfies. And the dude was like, "Hey, you like this church? Go check the garden around back." And then he said, "Do you want to go inside?" And I said, "Sure." This always happens when I go to a church. Someone shows up with a key, and I'm like, "Let's go." Because there's so many memories of those structures being used for. Right now, I believe they're actually being used for satanic rituals. I'm watching it. I'm going in there and I'm looking at a lot of what's happening, and it's nothing short of that, truly. Masked as God. But these things are used for recalibration, bringing people together. Somehow lost touch with it, political Christian or this, remembering what Christ really is about and the awakening of all of the return of the Christ, that we all are, and really coming together. We were going to talk about is, and it's about for the suffering for humanity and being able to, my opinion, like we are star architects. We don't normally incarnate to dimensions of pain and suffering. That's my personal perspective on this topic. But we came down here to help levitate or process or the trauma or the stories. People that have come in that are bringing in this high order of life have something to clear in their genetic line, but you're unplugging from your mother, father specific blood genetic, mother, father genetics. No wounding, trauma, history um, in that dimension. I would call that like a 13th dimension, but I don't really get caught up in those numbers because I think other people have so many interpretations. Just that's what we're aiming for is uh, light body ascension and understanding what it actually looks like that we're here on the earth, bringing like infinity light than light where we go. And we might be called, certain ones of us, depending on our roles, might be called into situations that could be seen as conflict about righteous things for humanity, to be a teacher of righteousness or to call an order to things as advisors and counsels. In my direct is that's what I'm kind of being led to and shown. Um, in one dimension, it's like this reality, right? But in the reality, it's like we're bringing our bodies down, a frequency, and then called into some kind of global service because it's collective, moving into the monad. Now, I feel thing actually is supposed to take place in the physical in a big way in Costa Rica. I've always felt that. In fact, I posted on my page today from my galactic astrologer friend, Graham Folscott. He talks a lot about the mechanics of stargates. Um, Anyways, he has a 144 social structure. I'm kin 144 in the Galactic Maya, so I've always felt this is one of my main focuses and missions is helping with the social structure, starting something in the center, using our galactic intelligence concentrated in energetic fields so we can serve humanity. It's kind of like in a way, I'm thinking in a military strategy here. I don't mean it like that, but if you know what I mean, like there's an important time to gather light together strategically in the midst of a big transition that impacts all of humanity. So I feel there's supposed to be a certain, this is very the Essenes. These are the enlightened ones 300 years before the Christ, the Dead Sea Scrolls that talk about a final battle of the light and the dark. And the Essenes come together and they gather their intelligence and their resources and their tribes, and they kind of like um, live through a planetary transition and reseed it with the higher consciousness. And I'm not saying that in like, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not saying it in a destructive way, but I've always felt prophetically that there would be some kind of gathering. And I'm sensing a ton of starseeds that are ready to come here. They're all in the same situation, resources.
Well,
And this is where I want to call in like,
you know, God, this is tough. Uh, there's another living triad that just landed in Costa Rica. Do you know
I
that?
know, I'm excited. Yep.
Martin McNichol and their son. Uh, are you aware of that? You're going to connect with them?
Yes, we're connected. So I hope that we meet here. You know,
You
one
have
day
to.
River had my phone and she sent messages to you and Martin. And I don't even know how she would do that or why she would do that. There were two audio messages that I did not send you, River did, that connected. So I know there's something that's happening with them coming here.
Yeah, yeah,
Possibly we're meant to connect with Z. She's in this area. I
yeah,
feel something important happening, but I'm also feeling waves of people that are hearing and feeling the call of Costa Rica. And I'm wondering,
yeah,
like, where let's build it, let's hold that vision so that it can materialize, that there's a
yeah,
place for the the grid workers to come and have what they need
yeah.
to serve, you know.
I think there's quite a few places around the world that that's happening. I feel like that some of that's happening here in Mexico. It's still to be played out. Certainly Costa Rica, Hawaii. I don't know. There's something to what you're talking about. I see people coming together in a very organic and natural way. It's really like, to me, kind of exemplifies what's happening to us now, which seems
Mhm.
to be like you can, even if we wanted to, we can't fight it. Even if we wanted to push back from our old patterns and go, yeah, I'm having these divine episodes. Yeah, I'm with my partner. Yeah, I've got this golden child. All these things are creating this yellow brick road before me, but the human doubts and the misgivings and the lack of all that's going away. And it's like the less we, it's weird because we had to go into the pressure cooker to find the shadows, to face the brutal honesty of our soul, and to convert and alchemize that into this new domain, which seems to have appeared, and it makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense because there's all these other things going on. But what has been a constant, consistent, expanding narrative every step of the way? And I know for some people it's different, but let's just say since 2012. From that point, there's been this slow grind that's been building and building and building, that's kind of like superseding and penetrating through any and all distortions, distractions, presentations of illusion, old programs, and what have you. And we're in a different place now. And never, I always heard this when I first reawoke in 2011, never underestimate the power of one unique and equal soul, especially your own. It's like the power of that to me is what's coming on board as we have shed and shed and shed and shed and done these crazy things, which again, you and your holy triad over there exemplify so well, like others. You walk the talk. And see, my homeboy over there, he agrees. Is that Anubis?
This is Soul. It's I think what what I was called to do was make a transition from an interdimensional transition and to invite the others over and say, I think there are a lot on that fence line of immersing fully with their true incarnation. And you have to let some things go. You have to do some things to do that. But we're being called to that. This is like a little bit of I honor free will and also a little push to my fellow um, light holders out there to leap into the void, to make that full sacrifice. It's the fifth planetary initiation in the Gene Keys. The seven sacred seals is a really holy guide of the ascension process and the laying down of the selfish nature and coming into the greater service, which feels eternally organic and ecstatic for all of us. That's what the 144,000 is really called to do, to co-create in such a way like that on an energetic field in certain pods around the world, kind of holding a I just see massive rainbow pillars of light kind of coming out in the central. We should all watch again the Celestine Prophecy. It's free on YouTube, and at the end it shows these dimensions, and in one dimension the other world doesn't exist. So I try to find the balance in that, though, because I still have this deep compassion that there's actually war happening on this planet. There are people that don't have money, they have poverty, they have suffering. So it's like, what's the balance of ascending and then caring about those world problems, and how do we as galactic citizens free of the system, but also, like, are we here to guide and assist humanity in creating systems that invite people into that freedom again?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I totally, totally get your, and that is the level and depth of internal dialogue that's happening, in at least in my estimation, for myself, my partner, and so many other people, especially these last 90 days, almost like we're in preparation coming out at the end of this month. You said a lot again, and you're right. There's no spiritual bypassing. There's no ignoring. There's no poo-pooing away this or that. You're right. It takes the humans' experience and perception to hold in its field the dark of the apparent darkness or depth or density of the reality, and to put this in the proper place. You might say 0 point, not in a bypassing way, but in a way where your compassion and your heart actually is the not just the facilitator, but the igniter. You mentioned emotions, and I really, really about 99% in my own field now at this point that our emotions, our emotional power, because many, many times if you look at things, our greatest weakness is our greatest strength, right? So our emotions, we were siphoned, we were taken advantage of, we were gullible, we were controlled, but now we're getting a hold of this. Now we're holding on to this emotion. And it's one thing to be balanced, but it's another thing to create from this place of passion. And
Mm-hmm.
so going back to what you said, I feel that yes, it's not an easy answer. It's the new code that we're writing with the experiential code that can only come from being the boots on the ground. And now the time is to put it. The time has come to put it all together. And so there's this soul perspective that understands that everybody serves best by serving themselves wholly, which is truly the Trinity energy, because it's the best thing I can do for you and the collective. So there's that stay in your own lane kind of thing, and allow and accept, just as we have everything that's come to us in our life, the path of all others, because they are the same thing we are, and they, in essence, know what they're doing, and it's okay. It's a weird place. I don't feel, even though I know it's a solar system, galaxy, multiversal, universal, uh, thing that's happening everywhere. But this is a very unique place. And if I look back at the last 4, 5, 6 years, at the people we've talked to on the old show, you included the channels, the connections, the memories, the skills, the abilities. Um, there has been several things that have been uniform in people's retelling of their life and of their intel. And that has been that this, including Dolores Cannon, Edgar Casey, Franco, I mean, this has been the toughest school, the toughest playground, the toughest university. But I really feel like we're on the other side of this thing. And the more that we share, even through a broken audio, even through no video, even through whatever, that common thread not only is the base, denominator, the foundation, but it's also what's expanding in all of us. And I don't see any press about it. I don't. And I don't believe we will, because I believe part of this new communication and connectivity is not just the words, it's what we've always done, which is show up. Show up and act on this crazy guidance that we've received, such as your story going to Costa Rica on a vacation, and then everything flips. But what has brought us all together before, now, and in the future has been our innate knowing of no matter what, following that. And I actually feel personally, for me, and as the individual goes, so goes the collective, I've been told, be quiet, don't say anything, don't do anything, don't take any actions, don't operate based on impulses of what the matrix has presented to you. And I will tell you, my wife and I have, really her, she has been through a tremendous physical, um, we talk about death, and we've all felt it emotionally and mentally, and to some degree physically. And it's gotten very impactful. The body's been the central location of everything that's happening. But I saw her go through something on January the 20th, and as brutal and as life threatening as it was, I knew I was watching someone be reset to the bone.
Hmm.
And I really feel like that's what's happening. I don't know where we're going to be living April 1st. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. She walked away from her groups. I walked away from Sology, not to never go back. There was no wall. It was our innateness, your innateness, the you, me, we, and it saying, let go of every single thing. And not by the
Hmm.
human literal translation, but find yourself. And I really feel like that on the bell curve of the cosmic earth experience, many of us are out there. And that information and that reality and that awareness of being in the flesh and going, oh my God, we were actually awake and we're actually God's in the flesh, and this is no bullshit anymore. It's not 90s new age cliches. This is actually happening. What do we do? I don't know. But what have we done? We put our hand up, we show up. It's the same formula. And the infinite intelligence conversation is getting clearer and louder. And it's pulling us together like we've never been pulled together before. I don't know where that came from.
Well, it's beautiful. And it's, actually, I want to bring up the importance of us learning how to weave the human connection back together. Because it's a lot of times for all of us, it's just easier to be alone, but that's also a wound. And so we're being called to come out. This is the next part of the healing of the tribes and the races, because we all come from different backgrounds and histories here. We're kind of healing humanity through something in our starseed codes. Um, but like, I'm actually, this is a hot topic, the whole AI thing. I'm concerned with the intimacy that I am recognizing just looking from afar that people are growing with these things, but it's fine. Do you also have intimacy in your human relationships? You know, are people able to get together, connect together, tolerate each other, live in a house together, live in a community together? Like, what does that look like? Because I feel like that's actually a part of, I don't want to ever say there's a split, but I kind of joke it's like cyborg or nature. It's like machine connection or human connection. Maybe it's both. I've already kind of erred on the side of, I mean, I didn't have a phone for 2.5 years. I didn't have a phone for two months straight a couple months ago. I go without it. And then another one just shows up, kind of like in the Matrix. So when I need a tech device, it shows up. And when I don't have one. Um, but the whole idea of the telepathic connections and the telephone is that final interference pattern to actually model the true telepathic community field in a certain pattern on the earth, in certain concentrated locations with certain amounts of specifically ordained groups of people, because to me God is galactic ordering dynamic. That has to do with your galactic Maya signature. um, to me, I see there's such a mathematical unfolding of something so beautiful, and it's about somehow at the end, especially with my particular tone, I'm 144 magnetic seed, so I'm here to unify in order to target. So I'm here to gather some kind of tribe together. I've been waiting here for 8 years. I'm just wondering when it happens, and I have patience. I know it's organic, but also sometimes people, as they're going through their awakening and their transition, they're needing that final call into the next step. It's a leap, a leap of faith when you go to another country or take a leap into something. And ideally, I guess I'm sharing this vision so we can all hold it as a collective family, because I've seen things like starseed communities start to be built, but to me, they still look like colonization. They're like, you know, $200,000 lots, like you got to have an online business or something. No, we're talking about starseed community.
Yeah, we're talking
People with
about go. Yeah.
galactic intervention.
Well, wait a minute. Okay. God, you say so much and so little. It's like one, two, three. But no, no. Just on the subject of and I feel like a lot of what we've channeled and a lot of what we download as time has gone on, there's less importance, although it's important in terms of spreading that information. And it's more, for me anyway, more of going, oh my God, what I'm tapping into is what's actually happening, whether I, resist or not, whether I let go or be dragged, kind of thing. I've noticed a
Yeah.
lot of this in Morgan's groups. She has a couple of groups she does every week, and I participate in one or two every week. And it's like 6 or 8, 10 ladies. And I started to recognize that as they were coming together as that, and again, it's a microcosm of what's happening. As they go into this field and create a one mind and a one consciousness that's open 360 degrees, they're pulling in what's coming in at that time. And look what's happening. We've got, what was it, 10 geomagnetic storms in 2 days. We've got massive flares happening. We've got the eclipse corridor. We've got earthquakes. We got all of these things. Uh, and somehow or another, the energetic evolution, transformation, timeline, or whatever you want to call it, is becoming something that we can actually, that's tangible, that we can actually say, hey, this is happening regardless of what wars, regardless of the fuckery and the bullshit and the narratives and the streams and the predictions and the prophecies. Something's happening right now, boots on the ground, and this is what we chose to come to do, or at least to be offered or participate in a new field of potential that's never been seen before, but we had to pay our dues along the way because that's the way it works. So we had to go into these depths, into this nastiness, which as an echo is starting to come out in the let's say the collective movie script. But the reality is all of those things, some of the things that you mentioned before, some of the things that really make us cringe, these are things that we all had inside of us, not because we were bad people, but because we were part of something. We chose to come in and be part of something. A couple last comments. I like Mateus De Stefano. Do you ever listen to him?
I have a few times, yes. I like his
Yeah.
Atlantis
So I was,
memory stuff.
yeah, his stuff is, he reminds me of Franco. But I was watching him a couple of months ago, and I don't even remember the context of the podcast, but he said, you know what matrix, what the etymology of matrix is? Mother and womb.
Mm,
If you look at the Greek, if you look at the whatever it is, right, you go back to the origin, that's what it is. He says, so we're not breaking out, you know, we're not we're not separate from it. It may be a construct within the construct, but it's not, it's not here to, you might say, and again, this is from a soul perspective. Uh, the other thing that he talked about was technology in a way I've never heard anyone talk about because I always feel, and I'm not saying I'm right, and I totally get what you're saying because I've got most of my friends speak of AI or technology, you know, in a careful way. And I've always had this thing since 2016 in my own journey that it's all the same thing. You know, it's all the same thing. Something gives you a charge, it's about me, it's not about that. But anyway, what he had to say was with his memories, and I don't know if you've seen this in the stuff that you've watched with him, where he talks about he's been a part, he has memory of several different ascensions, planetary ascensions. And he said this time we're doing it with technology. And in other words, is we take our evolution further and we start to see the relationship between within and without, between immaterial and material, physical and non-physical, that it's a reflection of us, right? And that at some point, in other words, it allows us to kind of hone our skills because the reality, to your point, okay, and that's where I take myself almost every day, is when the lights go out, the phone goes out, the internet goes out, where will you be? Can I still contact Alicia in Costa Rica? Can I still reach to Morgan if we're not physically in the same place? Yes. Like there's parts of the technology that's showing us what we already have because it's a reflection of what we are, and what we are is far beyond anything that we can even see that it offers or presents now. So, to me, it's like this wide open point where anything that I put up as a barrier or a boundary or a wall is something that I'm going to have to come back and see. And that maybe those things that have been my antagonists and my problems and my challenges are actually there to be seen in a different way. The shadow is no longer a burden that I carry like an anchor. It's a blessing that I have come to understand is the real reason I'm here. Because everything else I am and I have, I came into this place with. What I don't have is what we call the pain, the suffering, the trauma, the bullshit, the fuckery. But we're alchemists. And it's no longer words. And I really feel like, rather than having this huge internet platform or huge whatever, to your point, organically, for instance, metaphorically, walk into literally in Costa Rica, all of a sudden, you have this 100 acres with 14 houses. Some benefactor says, here, I don't want it. I don't want to control it. It's yours. And you got this organic community that's living in concert, like a symphony with nature, because that's really what we are. You know, I mean, we're finding our
Oh,
natural essence,
that's
you
beautiful.
know. Thank you, Alicia.
God, keep going. This is it though. I'm inviting, I want to co-create something like that because I've been living in this for a long period of time, but I really do feel there's an invitation for souls to start to commune together. I'm finding people really need community. And there's some community out there, but it's also still a little bit superficial. We really got to like learn and interact in groups and stand around and play drums and like connect with each more the machine. I might sound judgmental as I say these things, but there's desire in my heart, like a duty that I have to encourage that in these interesting times of technology that we do consider our connection to nature, our connection to humans, our connection to people, our disconnection from the monetary focus to the service and art focus, communal focus, create alternatives to going to Mars, create alternatives to, merging with the machine. I don't think we do need the machine, in my personal opinion, because I've barely used it and I feel like I'm touching something that I didn't need a technology for, except only this very limited time to like connect with our brothers and sisters. And okay, for some reason, the telepath thing has been set, and now like verbal for the people that are feeling this call. Barto's playing a drum. I feel like harmony right now. We're playing this little 3-string, making like, but I really appreciate what you envisioned. Oh, beautiful river. Something we really like to do. Like I would like to invite more people to kind of immerse and come stay with us and exchange code with each other. Somehow I'd like, kind of like you said, like a community to be available so that people could start to come, and some come to maybe stay in these areas, but some maybe just pass through here to kind of birth things in certain grid points and locations. But I feel like Eduardo, myself, and River are here to give certain people that will be called to it. And we're holding that vision that something beautiful could materialize so that we could all come together in groups, maybe self-organizing councils of some sort, or some kind of, to me, it is all mathematical. So there's some kind of social structure and meetings of certain souls that will take place. And for me, Costa Rica, the fact if you put all the letters together, it says star in the center. I call it Costa Rica. I really do feel it's one of the key hubs for where the stars align in some way. And so I am open to holding visions of almost philanthropic opportunities to start to birth this new earth with the star seeds who are carrying these crystalline codes. They're not really here to work and sell for money. They're here to hold their vibrations, commune with the nature, water, and the people in certain configurations. It can be of the greatest service to the earth. It's not seen as a monetary type of service, it has to start to be seen as a benefit to have the souls in service together with simple needs met, so that they can maintain that order. This feels like something that was written, actually, I guess, as I'm just unfolding it on this call with you. Yes, River?
God, it's all amazing. Your words are amazing, your energy, and River. River on the surface sounds like a child, uh, but in her voice I hear ancient, ancient song.
She is in a constant singing and bringing in things. Always singing about nature, playing instruments. It's been really beautiful, and I don't want us to lose touch with that, even if it's just a experience to get kids back from the United States, for example, and like get them in a break from nature. Sometimes I recommend that we start to create something called a 40-day and a 40-night uh, ascension fast. And it's not even an ascension, a fast of food, it's a fast of technology, and see what could happen. Because it's like it could be an important experiment to see what would happen to have many souls kind of disconnected from that and connected to a human grid. Um, it almost feels like a call to action at some point, or a vision that I'm seeing for certain souls that are going to hear or feel this call and the support needed to ordain something like that.
I don't know how everybody else feels,
Was
but
there
that's
anything else we were supposed to touch on, Todd?
Say that again.
You like Rivers singing? Hola, hola, hola.
I was going to say, I don't know how
Come
everybody
play
else.
music with us.
Yeah, I really like it a
Sorry.
lot.
Say it again, Todd. I'm gonna go on a second.
Well, the coding that River's bringing through, for me anyway, on a personal level, I don't know how everybody else feels, but that really says it all. We spent a lot of time talking, explaining, sharing, storytelling over the years. It was very necessary, but that type of coding, from my perspective, anyways, is a bridge, a true bridge.
I think she wants to tell you more. River, is there any more that you wanted to say to them?
Nothing more, but something more. It's the little pájaro.
The little pájaro? Oh, the little bird. That's what she wants to tell everyone. The little bird. Like the humming. And Edward over here.
Papi, ¿no quieres cantar?
I swear, we could be in 2 o'clock in the morning around a campfire in the middle of Africa or any other place, middle of Australia in the outback, whatever. And I picture like this grandmother playing a drum, singing this language. It's amazing. There are no mistakes.
No, well, and I would like to encourage us to get in groups and play drums together. It's very therapeutic. Be around, have music and instruments around, make music a part of your life again. Music is a part of the healing process, the part of the DNA process. For us, it's totally normal. Like I have rattles and shakers and bells everywhere that I go. It's quite a transition from the old version of myself version, but I always have some kind of sound or musical instrument. I mean, there are a lot of people doing these things in Costa Rica, gathering in groups, playing the music all over the course. But I'm calling in this DNA. Wrote a story together, you know? Bring their bright light and power out into the world. And come out of the closet, show your power, show your gifts, show your truth, show your righteousness. Really about the creation with the emotion. And yes, I've been experiencing rightful ways to use that in powerful situations. And how I knew I was in righteousness is I didn't lose my power, but I felt stronger. I felt empowered. I felt breakthrough in the divine feminine codes of standing up for things that need to be said, practicing things like that. I actually was experiencing what I feel like was a Christian cult. It was the craziest experience of my life. But like in the old version of myself, it was like sitting and bypassing it and just being the fly on the wall and watching it versus like that feeling of something like you're supposed to say something, right? It doesn't matter if you're wounded feminine or your intuition, your gut is saying you should say something at this moment of a righteous nature. And so experiencing activities like that, I'm saying that for anyone that might need to activate their voice chakra at their throat. Our timeline shifters and time travelers, sometimes we will ourselves in situations where we have to use the voice of truth with love in certain situations. So I don't know who that's for, but I feel like I've been brought directly in corrupted situations where I've had to say, I see the corruption here, like on a level, on a bigger level, I'm being called in situations that are taking in the country and really seeing it all, how the colonization process works, actually, truly. I don't think we should deny that that's actually true. There's a monetization and developing of the land that's making Costa Rica actually become almost inaccessible to a starseed that's not living in a full-time career type of financial reality. It's almost, I remember when I first came here, I don't know why I'm on this topic, but this is a righteousness in me actually, because I remember when I came here, and even in most people's minds, they might perceive Costa Rica as like a third world country affordable, but it's actually more expensive than maybe anywhere right now. And while I'm at it, not to focus on the negative, I'm noticing like fruit stands are disappearing and fancy grocery stores that are unaffordable, the locals are being built. And you feel where I'm coming from? There's this like teeter-totter moment of like concrete jungle or starseed villages, like almost like this like shifting the gears of the development of the Earth's resources.
So much spicy.
Like we were called in to hold some kind of field about that. You want to say something?
Spicy. Hola, árbol. Hola, banano. Hola, jaguares. Hola, unicornio. Hola, plantas. Hola, flores. Hola, plantas. Hola, flores.
She's speaking sacred language.
Yeah, she speaks full Spanish, English, and then a little Russian too.
Well, I speak a little Spanish. Obviously speak English, no Russian, but that I recognize that sacred song, sacred language.
And sometimes it seems she speaks a Hindu type of language.
Of course.
She tells me interesting stories. You know, this is something too with the kids, right? Is creating that space. Sometimes our kids are our awakeners, and now they're having the shift in me as a mother versus like letting a master be born in a child's body and serving it as a master, like taking care of it and not controlling it and not feeling like you need to teach it, but learning from her. I should say her, not it. Hi, River.
Yeah. What you were saying about Costa Rica, and I think it kind of applies everywhere. like, yes, I think it really is important. Again, not to spiritually bypass, but it's really important to look at everything because it's relative. Um, to our experience and acknowledge you might say acknowledge the darkness, the light, the disparity, the inequality, or whatever it may be. But through what you're doing, and probably everyone that's listening, through the things that we've held in, I don't want to say a low regard out of disrespect, but that we haven't given enough credit to the individual thoughts, words, and actions that we have put into motion that have built and expanded individually and collectively as time has gone on, ultimately to a point where we might say, how do you explain this? But like, I am not going to participate. So I am not going to participate in this old narrative, these old patterns, the old bullshit and programs is different than saying, I am going to create, which is exactly what you did when you came to Austin, Texas, disregarding the rules and regulations of the matrix, so to speak. Same as my thing with Mexico, right? Where we are no longer saying, "Oh, I'm just not going to participate. I'm just going to sit here and be obstinate and not move." No, we're actually, to me anyway, moving into a space where we're going to say we're going to do more than that. We're going to create from everything that we've experienced and everything that we know. And I think a big part of that is to, I guess, in a way, give credit where credit is due to those things that created the friction and antagonism. Uh, and like, you said earlier, the acceptance, the allowance of everything seems to be vital to our ability to be able to move into or cross new thresholds and expand from beyond that. And these expansions now are bringing in this multidimensionality, skills, abilities, and knowingness and consciousness in the flesh. It's a whole. It's like somebody took an eraser and erased the entire chalkboard, and we have all the memories of what was there, but there's nothing on the chalkboard now. And I really feel like this is the code that we're creating. This is the joy. This is the bliss, and it's not just words, and it's not just like fluffy. It's not just like, oh, I'm in the 5D, 6D, 7D now, and everything is cool, and I'm impenetrable from all these things. I still feel these things because when I feel these things, I know because of what we've been through that there's something there because of the fact that I'm feeling it, because of the fact that it came up that I can now utilize in an alchemical way with my brothers and sisters and create these things, which seem to be happening organically in a natural unfoldment. We don't have to force the community. We don't have to force this or this initiative or that initiative. It's actually happening. You, your husband, and your golden child there and the peripheral of it, your children, your ex, all your friends and family. We've planted seeds, and you're a very good, y'all are a very good example of that. And these seeds are sprouting. I will end with this too, and I've said this a few times in the last couple of weeks. I really feel for myself that from 2012 through December 2024, we all did some major stuff. And what we came here to do, we've done. And now we have another 12 years where we're not swimming against the current anymore. It's swimming with us. So imagine all the effort and intestinal fortitude that we had and that we displayed, and the courage and the wisdom and the light and the love and the selflessness and the fearlessness and so on in those 12 years through all the bullshit, through all the stuff. And to be able to apply that same level as a foundation into our new creations is mind blowing. That's mind blowing to me. It's like we went from the low species on the totem pole to the highest. And what? The axes are flipping, energetically, metaphorically speaking. This has been a cool talk for me. Thank you both so far.
Man, I want to talk again another time when it's a little more smooth. I'm glad and Eduardo got to pitch in for a second, and I really just excited. I'm surprised at myself as I'm speaking how strong I'm feeling the calling of the tribe. I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know how, but planting that seed because we are working in that womb of creation. Actually, when you gave me that image, I saw us all swirling in the womb of the mother, co-creating something. And each one of us has a specific key or code. And when it comes together, it creates something beautiful. Like there's a space for everyone to be kind of when you were saying you do all the work, do all the work. Well, then you produce the diamond of the self. That's Gene Key 8, one of my favorites too. That's where we're all coming in. So we're all facets of the diamond coming in certain configuration. I know there must be people out there that are feeling that. I'm just being that invitation. We're feeling the call to whoever else is feeling the call. How manifest these creations, these co-creations, these things we've done before, gatherings of the tribes, gathering of the ones that are here to serve humanity's highest order or create new social structures. This is also written in Gene Key 44. It's called the Synarchy. I was having this conversation with someone today. He was talking about Trump and he was like, he's doing good, he's doing that. And I was like, I'm not saying he is or he isn't. Maybe there's this divine intervention. And then also there's this whole other creation that's beyond the idea of such a thing as a government or a president or any kind of order like that. Because I'm in the other dimensions I've ever lived in the other planets, we never had something like that going on. We didn't have like councils that looked like that with judges and, you know. So there are
We didn't
true
have money.
galactic councils, royal councils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have money. We didn't
Oh,
have
that's funny
possession. We didn't have
story.
ownership.
Money.
That's one of the big issues with these communities that I've seen over the years when they try to when I've seen them try to formulate is they don't work because they're not equal. You know what I mean? Because somebody had the
I know.
land, somebody has this, somebody has that. And this is what we're moving past. And it's a real challenge. It has been a challenge for all of us at different levels from different perspectives in terms of letting these identities go, because as much as we think we have, there are still more there. And yes, we've reached a point where it's becoming more seamless. But the fact is, equality is equality. There is no possession. We can hoard nothing. We cannot hoard energy. We cannot hoard love. We're in a whole different place. And the reason I'm excited is because I really feel like my soul, and I've had these conversations like a lot of us probably have over the last 3 months of why am I here again? What the hell's going on? I can't do the same thing over and over. The carrot on the stick's not going to work. I know I came here for a reason that's super fucking cosmic spectacular, which I can only believe at this point, is to be able to actually be a Merkabah in the flesh, a soul in the flesh, where we can actually do these things that we might have classified at one time as supernatural. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Portals, passageways, stargates, meeting places, uh, where space and time are truly neutralized and we're moving, like you said, freely everywhere and operating from being able to do that because we're operating from pure intention, unconditional love, and merging our free will with universal will in a very human
Damn, you're
way.
good, Todd.
Well,
this
it's
is
all
this is the
everything's a
game.
collaboration, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
feel the energy of today. I felt the energy of the last, I don't even know where to go, right? Where do you go with this? I really feel like we're being reset, that the talk of, oh, we're converting from carbon to light body, this shit's going down. It's happening right now. And we can be a part of this. And it really, really is a whole new atmosphere because what am I trying to say? I want to say the way we've closed all these doors, so the way has become apparent where there is not just words, there is no judgment. because we can talk about the split all day long, but the reality is when we get deeper into this, the split's me. I'm the old earth and I'm the new earth. There's an old Todd and there's a new Todd. And the new Todd isn't the answer. The answer is actually right in between the both, right? Like the gold of the human experience cannot be shit on anymore. I don't give a shit how bad the fuckery is and the narratives and everything that's coming to light. This stuff is coming to light because we've brought to light those darknesses and shadows within ourselves, and we continue to do so. It's like a universal momentum that will not be stopped. And as much as it is out of our hands, it's because of what we've done, right? Like, you know, Morgan used to have this saying, in regard to like going on the internet, but I think you can apply it to anything in life. You see a lot of it now with the whole thing that's happened these last 3 months since the election in the US. If you look for the shit, you're going to find it. If you look for the shift, you're going to find it. Everything is a yin and yang. The example you gave about Trump, yin and yang. You're seeing both sides. The whole thing is polarity. Everything's polarity. I'm polarity. The idea is to, I know it sounds cliche, but to find that middle road. And to me, what we've lacked isn't the faith that we've had in these higher multidimensional connections. It's the lack of faith we've had in the prerequisite or the initiation of being a human being in multiple incarnations or even one. Our lives have been valuable. It's more than a simulation and a hologram. We don't do anything but to grow. And I really feel like that the human being part of our multidimensionality is what's actually you know driving the ship. Reluctantly at first, and now with confidence, gratitude, respect, reverence, honor, and grace.
You named a bunch of gene keys. It's perfect. It's true. This is our poetic genetic unfolding. And you're right about, I was hearing boot camp earlier when you were talking about how we all went through, like we're pushing against. It's actually been interesting. I actually have felt the opposite because I ascended fast to like heaven on earth, eternal bliss. And then after River was born and she brought me into a reality of vaccines, right? Like wasn't in that dimension until she was born. And then it brought me there, you know? And so this is something I have a concern about, as I know that star children are being born all over. In some places you can be protected, and some, but there's a little bit of control about that. I do think about these things. This is where I'm trying to find the balance, where before I would judge even saying this because I feel like I don't want to put it in the field. But then there's this other thing, like, how do we create safe spaces for children to be born without this bioweapon? This is not just a choice. We need to be realistic about being guardians and protectors of that are being, that is ended for once. Of course, there's select people that get the vibe. You can't let it into it, but we do need to understand the importance of such a topic. And I'm saying this in direct experience to witnessing other children that have been vaccinated versus River, who never has the cognitive skills, the telepathic skills, the ability to walk in a correct nature. I mean, it's extremely noticeable. I feel I actually have to say, in the midst of a world ascending, that I still have to say, if you're carrying a child and you're thinking about, understanding, I feel like I'm actually here as a responsible voice. I think we mostly all get that picture, but I want to also imagine that there are safe spaces and places for children to be born.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just another topic that came up there, but
No. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's a really, you know, like I said at the beginning, multiple is how I would put it. You know, like balls, you're moving forward, you know, and you're moving them all
Mhm.
up the mountain or whatever, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a nexus point or a convergence of the human and the soul, you know, and I don't personally have the answers. I can only, like, you know, Morgan and I obviously review daily and we live together, and you can understand that. Um, but in terms of like, you know, what is it? What exactly is going on here? Um, certain words just seem to come back, and it's letting go, which you might say is surrender. Letting go.
Mhm.
Like, how can I be becoming more transparent, or anybody? How can somebody display? And it's not about muscle, and it's not about intellectual power. It's about illumination of frequencies, vibration, you know, sound, numbers, geometry, whatever, however, it's this expression, a reflection of me that is like superseding everything that's happened, to the point where I can see perfection if I look past and I look present of, let's just say, natural disasters. We've had 4 earthquakes to my knowledge today, 2 in the 6, 2 in the 7, and our hearts go out to all of those people affected. But these things that have a very physical nature of doom and gloom and expiration and finite existence may not very well be that at all. They may be energy that has been presented to us as something that is uh, deathly, you know, or ending. We're all of these elements, and to include those things that have been left out, such as ether. Okay. Uh, to me, it feels very much like plasma is in the field. It's popped in now and then over the years, but it's here and it's not going anywhere. Like, it's thick. So I don't really,
Plasma is my
you
favorite
know,
topic,
have a
actually.
take on, is it really? Can
Well,
you
I
talk
just
to us about it?
feel
Because I don't know much about it.
I identify as a plasma being. I work with plasma. I'm a plasma creator, projector. Um, that the whole thing is more fluid in nature. It is like a rainbow light body. It's not so physical. Yes, you have a physical body. You use it to do things, but also, the operation of something of a higher order through you. To me, that's plasma construction. And if anybody knows a little bit about Tartaria or the sacred structures, or the idea of like, where did these beautiful cathedrals come from, and these powerful arts and structures? And it's like, when you look at the architecture of the holy sacred temples in other countries and castles and things, and then you're like, what the fuck happened? Like, look around for a second. Where are we? How do we get here? And so plasma, as you lighten up, you're not controlled by the moon, the emotions, the fears, the lower astral field. You've completely detached from the lower astral body. So there's no entity interference, predator interference, parasite interference. We should be aware of those energies. We should actually do a radical check within ourselves on anything in our reality that feels like something is taking energy, and not in a victimization way, because now that you can identify that, maybe you just couldn't see it before. We are also being called to evaluate things in our reality, if they're giving us life or taking life. That's the best way to really gauge anything, right? It's like, okay, is this giving me life or taking away my energy, taking away my life? Because plasma is working a little more with like eternal fields of creation. This is where we move into the immortal nature. We don't live in linear time. The whole idea of cemeteries, every time I see a cemetery, it's like, God, it's like this little black magic portal, because they're almost like they're just congested portal control. That's how I see a cemetery as, because there were times also in the story of, it seemed like he died a bloody death, but that's not true. He ascended. And so we have that suffering component from the, from the ascension process. Into the Christ a lot, but I feel like I was supposed to tell you something else.
Well, you told us a lot. No worries.
Oh, I was talking about those structures, like Tartaria
Oh,
structures
yeah.
and plasma. That's what I was talking to you about. So I believe at a time we were creating structures with our hearts, you know, plasma generation. This is where collective freaks come in, and why I think my soul is calling for groups to come together, sound and realize everybody has a voice. We're instruments of God and peace, and we have certain sound tones and vibration can open things on a planetary level. It's some kind of declaration of remembrance and also a healing of faces. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
sometimes I feel. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. So, like, you
There's a
there?
delay. You can go.
No, the only thing I was going to say was, you know, because it's kind of hard to explain what's happening, in my opinion. There's like so many different facets. It's difficult to explain. You can explain a piece. The patterns are in the field in a format that we haven't seen. We saw like flashes of the Trinity template or Sacred Union template or Christ Consciousness template. Now we're seeing the actual living word, the embodiment of it. So, but if I look as an example at Tartaria, and let's just say Tartaria up to, and I'm talking about the end of Tartaria, okay, up to 1915. In that period, it's become more and more obvious that history was absolutely whitewashed. Things,
1902.
okay, so things were hidden. The Federal Reserve gets enacted, income tax in the U.S. gets enacted, World War One gets enacted, and from World War One, you can follow the money, you can follow the narratives, you can follow the Nazi
I call
trail,
it a dark
you can
alien
however you
invasion.
right, you can do that. But here's what I see. This is the reason I bring it up. I feel I can't prove it, but I feel that if you go beyond that history, pre 1900, okay, that the uh, proverbial resets were hundreds and thousands of years. And one thing we might be overlooking is the level of awareness that we are coming into in terms of linear time and how short it is. Okay. So, snap. This information will not be withheld. The truth is coming out. The veils are dropping. Whatever the narrative and the truth is will come into the full consciousness of every one of us. This is the way it is. This is the universal energy. This is the gears of the clock that are gonna, let go or be dragged. But yet at the same time, we have this prolific opportunity to create in a new space, in this weirdness, in this space between breaths, uh, where we can assess everything that's happened, assess ourselves, look at everything, and go, okay, while I'm here riding this wave, let's create. Let's build some new code. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's walk the talk. But I really feel like that the information, not in other words, not to get we're designed to get lost in the story and the narrative. It was the same with our personal lives. It's the same with the collective narration. So as we come to terms with that, we start to give ourselves some credit. Okay? Because I can ask everyone that would listen to this, that's listening to this now or on replay, ask these people, what has your life been about? What have you overcome? What have you transmuted, transformed? Who are you today? Because you are not who you were yesterday. We have come so far, so fast, and and I really feel like that we're not on the cusp. We're not on the precipice. We are in this new realm or this new space or this new fertile field of the mother's womb. Uh, and I really feel like that information is going to come in fast and furious, regardless of distortion, and distractions, and narratives, and prophecies and predictions. Uh, coming beginning April 1st. We may not know what to do exactly, just like now. But one thing that we are doing is stepping forth in our power, collaborating as partners, collaborating as parents, collaborating with the children, collaborating with each other, and that's real. That's real. And one thing I will say too, talking to Lisa Marie yesterday, she runs like a Harry Potter school for children. They make potions, magic potions, and they deal with the unicorns, dragons, Merlin, all this stuff, right? How she was talking about these special children, what society calls special needs children, telepathy tapes, see the telepathy tapes, etc. That these children know the truth frequency, that they know if you're saying one thing but you're another. And I was saying to her, well, isn't that what we're all learning now? Like we can feel the truth. And so, I'd like to stick around for several hundred years and be a part of this transformation that goes right down to the atomic level. And there's a physical transformation. And I really feel that. I really believe that. But I'm also okay with leaving now. But I don't feel like that's going to happen. I feel, and I'm not just speaking for myself, I feel like for many, many people, yeah, we came this far. Why would we stop now? And why would we stop listening to our internal guidance that got us here in the first place? Because we all know that we all have these crazy, crazy, crazy stories, and you are right up there at the top.
I would definitely say for everybody, just one activity I like to do when anyone calls me and they're kind of going through a lot is I always say, just make that declaration to devote yourself to your highest timeline and allow the whole thing to reconstruct itself. This is also another way of working with plasma in my perception. It's like, okay, get rid of the ideas, the possibilities, which one you think's the best, worst case scenario. I don't know why anyone would create one of those anyways. And you literally go, I surrender to my highest timeline, which is always this, but always be the most beneficial to you. And intelligence. Um, and so something about the kids that's a little bit interesting to me, I didn't realize they were calling children with telepathy special needs. I find it actually a little bit interesting because, yeah, to me, every child is telepathic and so are we. And telepathy is not what we think. It's not always an thought form, communication. It is you feel in a room and an energy. Now, that's if there's no trauma in the body. If you feel the room based on your trauma, right, you're not in full telepathy. That's why we move. We have to clean up kind of what I feel like we're doing is cleaning any density field of the trauma of, mother, father, lineage, ancestral, like the body of resurrection, the eternal immortal life. And so we have our relationship to time is the big key here. This is what I've been called to dance through, going from like working a 9 to 5 at a high tech company in Austin to then building my own business and still having a pretty busy social calendar And then all of a sudden it starts saying, time is an illusion. Like I went really fast from super busy book calendars and lots of birthday parties and gatherings to time is an illusion. It sounds crazy. I would like it to be true. Let me look at my calendar and see how busy I am. Let me see if I'm orchestrating my life through a calendar. Let me see how much it impacts my daily movements. If I want to return to these ways, I want to start to free up some time to remember nature and creation and how we start to work with our technology, and it is eternal. So the whole idea of like having a sickness, illness, needing a surgery, aging, no, the mutation shifts. And actually working with plasma is a much deeper topic that I think, I mean, plasma physics is what I'm kind of feeling. I'm sure there's other people that can put words to this, but I know for me, I've really been just experimenting with true quantum mechanics, where you're presented with the situation and you feel it in your body, and the anything that you feel can be transmuted or integrated, and then you learn how to work with this heart creation field. This I actually call it your planetary high heart chakra. I kind of call it your like plasma projection. And it actually is connected to the thymus. This is just something I'm suggesting. I can't say it's for sure because the thymus is an interesting gland right behind the sternum. And, they say that a child decalcifies by the time it's something like 8. And I don't think that's supposed to be the case. I think there's an advanced technology within that. And of course, children that have vaccines and different things, it disables these specific physical functions in the body. I really do believe that's true. So learning a little more about the thymus gland, I was sitting with a doctor. He came down from New York and he accidentally sliced his leg with a machete. So he had to sit with me for a few weeks. We were in this place called Home Farm, heaven on Mother Earth. And I was talking to him about new genetics. I was talking to him about the thymus gland, and I heard his doctor version of the thymus gland. But then I saw it in such a deeper way of the actual function of the thymus gland as a navigator tool in our structure. And we were really kind of talking about this idea of the like logical doctor. I mean, he was admitting that he basically grew up and learned to diagnose by getting a machines, billing insurance, and either cutting or prescribing. That is the truth of that system. That's why, we want to empower ourselves and create holistic ways to serve our bodies and break ourselves out of any dependencies of things at some point. Um, Anyways, I just kind of hopped over to a topic. I'm actually, and now I'm being shown this vision. When we were at that church, Todd, the night before I went there, and the guy took me through the back, and they were like blue velvet, lush carpets. Actually, there was also a golden Lyndon B. Johnson like tag on one of the front pews of the church. Anyways, we were in the back, and there were like these vintage rose paintings, like carnation pink and blue carpets. And I asked him, I said, have you had any miraculous healings in this church before? And he just kind of chuckled and laughed, and he goes, no. And then when we opened up the next door, there was a table, and it had piles of orange prescription pill bottles, empty. And I was like, oh, are you guys recycling here? And he was like, yeah, and he was super proud of it. And I was like, are these the pills of your congregation? And he said, yeah. And I was like, holy fuck, no wonder why there's no miraculous healings taking place. And so I think actually I'm bringing in another responsible, empowering conversation about, really empowering ourselves and how our body works and how our health works, and really taking those next steps to truly take care of the vessel. And it's easier to do in community, eating more clean and making beautiful dishes and sharing things. And it's harder if you're in a city and you're just surrounded by like, excuse me, delicious food. Like I don't remember what that's like, but I'm sure I'd be hungry all the time. If I was just like driving around seeing billboards of steaks and things, I wouldn't be hungry by that because I haven't eaten meat for years. But like food advertising is a big fucking deal. Let's be honest about that. Um, I think this is part of the Essenes deal too, right? They were talking about light, like cleaner eating and lighter eating as the light body lightens up. we eat less dense things. We actually don't, I truly believe we don't need food to survive, but I'm not trying to be an extremist or anything. I think it's beautiful for us to eat and commune with each other. That's actually what it's for. And there's nothing like being in a kitchen with people making salads and making different dishes and bringing them together and having that rainbow of life. And, you know, we're starting to get back to that, like beautiful, intimate gathering conversations. I want to see more of that here. My heart is yearning for that. I'm not even one, like, I almost think it's a sin to yearn for something. Like, I try to stay so in the 0 point. I never want anything, but like, I feel this like cosmic communion, like a gathering of soul tribe, and I'm expressing it today instead of holding it back, like I don't want that to happen. Because sometimes you live so in the surrender, you understand you don't have an ideal, you just go highest timeline. But then to a point it's like, well, what would that look like? Let's put some form to the plasma, like crystal castles, like working with creation in that way. We can all work with it together. Anybody that feels, I've been working with a lot of people online, staying connected with soul brothers and sisters of mine that feel that call at some point and have actually felt like they would be able to teleport. I mean, some people are holding that field, they're just waiting to fully physically do it. And also still open to other ways if it's supposed to be like that, I think. But ultimately, I feel like Care Bears coming together. Anyways, I could talk to you forever. It's been a great time connecting with you.
It's happening. It's very much fits the style of the experience now, which is in the flow, no planning. Uh, it's we talked about this for years, how we wouldn't be on schedules, and it's been really weird making this transition on the new podcast because we set this up last night or today.
Yeah.
The two I set up for Sunday, which is the most I've set up in front of me. One was a cancel from last Sunday, and the other one set up on the fly last night or today. So yeah, this has been huge. I feel like I've just been through a huge group session, and activation, and it's significant that we've come together at this time. Thank everybody for coming in.
Mom, this is
Thank you for your
real.
support, love, contributions, and thank you, Alicia, and your beautiful family. And keep doing what you're doing because, like all of us, I think we're doing a lot more than we think. And I believe that's going to come into our awareness on a greater and greater level as time goes on, very quickly. But yeah, thank you so much. It's good connecting with you again, my lovely sister. Best to you and your beautiful family.
We love you,
That's
Todd. We love Morgan. We love everybody, Star Nation. See you in Costa Rica.
right on. Somewhere. If not, we can swim to
Okay.
the middle of the Gulf of Mexico or whatever they call it now.
No, we're
Uh,
open at the Stargates. We'll see you soon.
yeah, that sounds better to me.